Hi, I'm Aidan Timmins. I'm the Senior Research Analyst here with Motor Trade Publishers. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis as to how we see the market, and today is the 17th of July 2012. We've conducted more research visits for this time of year than we have in any other year, and I suppose we're better placed than we usually are to provide this kind of a rundown. And I have promised to other subscribers and people who I've spoken to on my research travels that I would do these kinds of video editorials more often. So if there's anything that you would like to see featured in them, please do feel free to contact me on carguide@mtp.ie. But firstly, if we can start with larger SUVs, and I'm going to start primarily with vehicles in general in the light commercial and four-wheel drive guide. The larger SUV stuff, the Range Rover Sport, BMW X5, XC90, Q7, that size of vehicle has struggled recently. Now, they came off the back of quite a strong start to the year, and while we didn't get that big freeze that had bolstered values in previous years, there was still some sort of an appetite there for those vehicles, but that seems to have waned, and we're having to now more stringently realign values to the market norms. Something to be aware of if you haven't looked at our guide for those vehicles, or even if you don't subscribe to that guide. If you want to give us a call on 877-5460, we can set you up with access to that online. Now, sticking with vehicles in that guide, again, if we talk about the double cab range, and we're primarily here dealing with Toyota's Hilux 2.5 and 3 litre, the Nissan Navara, and Mitsubishi's L200. And while Ford Ranger comes into it in parts, those three are the main protagonists in that area. Now, we've had to narrow the gap between Navara and the Toyota Hilux. Hilux had just pulled away a little bit. New Navara is now out, and there seems to be a bit of a resurgence in popularity of these vehicles. Certainly we had to close the gap between Navara and L200. L200 had fallen far too of a distance away from the other two players in that market, or two stronger players in that market. And Mitsubishi dealers have now been updating their values and telling us they can achieve slightly better returns than they were expecting and what they were returning at the start of this year. So again, something to watch out for is the L200 values, and again in a double cab, remaining quite strong. And also the 2.5 Hilux to the 3 litre Hilux, we've also held the 2.5 values. We felt as if the gap had maybe just increased to beyond that kind of 2,000 to 3,000 euros, where it should really be closer to maybe 2,000 and just above it. Land Cruiser still performing very strong, and panel vans, everything from the size of a small combo up to say a Transit 200 or 220 Connect. Again, these are the vans that are in demand. They represent good value for money. Tradespeople seem to not require anything much larger than that. But I'm also hearing now, just very recently, that reports of things like the Renault Traffic long wheelbase, so that Renault Traffic 29, we have it down in our guide denoted as the LL29. Something to look out for in that range as well. Perhaps maybe just a bit of an increased appetite for these vehicles, which had suffered quite badly over the last couple of years. Now, in terms of the passenger car market, well, throughout the research that I've conducted, it seems as though it's kind of business as usual for this time of year. Values seem to be falling back ever so slightly in anticipation of the higher drive market returning in September, and whilst a lot of them won't really be back until October, we need to kind of steady the ship a little bit in anticipation of those arriving back. And what we have is 2011 values falling back a little bit stronger than 2010 and 2009. And that is a logical enough occurrence, seeing as we need to fit in present year 2012 higher drive values somewhere between a 1-year-old in 2011 and a brand new car in 2012. So again, something to watch out for in our guide is just the amount of money that we're going to be taking off 2011 values. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule, but in general these are the kinds of falls that we're seeing anywhere in the region of on a 20 grand car of around 300 to 400 euros at the very, very most, some falling very, very nominal amounts indeed, and some actually increasing in value where scarcity prevails. And I want to just stay on the scarcity issue at the moment. A lot of people say, well, stock is scarce, and whatever I sell, I can't buy in at the same price, and so I need to, either hold on to my stock and sell it at the price I want to, or I can't replace it with anything. Now, this is a bit of a dilemma, really, because On one hand, yes, the stock needs to be held so that you can attract as much of a profit potential from it as possible. On the other hand, selling is really the key here, and holding on to stock isn't ideal the further we go on into the year. And so while we have a scarcity of stock, we also have a scarcity of customers, and those are being matched almost on parity. So it is a very delicate balance to try and find the appropriate selling price. But we found throughout our research that there was really nobody disagreeing with the values in the car sales guide. Now, one feature that we've introduced on our online system is the new mileage adjustment calculator. And if you are online on www.mtp.ie, if you log in there and you are a subscriber, you will be able to see our new feature. If not, you can contact us on the website to get set up with a trial version, or if you would like to subscribe for 12 months. Now, essentially what this mileage adjustment calculator does, and it's the only one in the country, is that it allows the user to input the exact odometer reading of the vehicle and change the value based on what that odometer reading is. And we have tolerances, so we can only value something up to around, I think we have it as 50,000 kilometers above the average guide mileage that we show, and anywhere around 40,000 kilometers below that. The reason for that is that over and above that and below that, we really need to see the car at that stage, and we will leave it to your own professional and expertise discretion to determine what the value might be at that particular point. Now, we'll be putting up a brief how-to onto our site as well, so in the next couple of days it will be something to keep an eye on. In the meantime, if you have any other queries, please don't hesitate to contact me on either 018775460 or my own personal email address, which is atimmons@mtp.ie. Until the next time, all the best.